Last time on the Private Practice Playbook, Jay gave you the formula for how to make 2026 your best year ever. But what happens when you take that formula off the page and into real life? This week, you get to find out. We're taking you inside one of Jay's best year ever events, where hundreds of doctors have stepped out of their offices, away from the day-to-day, and into a room built for growth. You'll hear what happens when energy, strategy, and action collide, and why getting out of your office might just be the smartest move you make all year. Let's listen in.
It's the Private Practice Playbook. It's the Private Practice Playbook.
The goal, obviously, is for you to walk out of here and be really thrilled you were here the last 2 days. Okay? So, and to exceed your expectations, because that's what we'd really like to do. Now, I've broken up the 2 days into very distinct sections. And I did that for you, mostly for your sanity. So in other words, I'm going to tell you that you've got to think about this stuff, and then I'm going to take you out of it and have you think about some other things. And the 2 days is going to build on each other. And part of having a business is that the purpose of a business is to make a profit, right? So we sit here, it's the end of the year, and right? A lot of us have been in business a long time, and every year you go back. How are we going to go back? How are we going to go back and make this year better, right? What we're going to do in this next 2 days is we're going to talk a little bit about the last 10 years and the next 10 years. Because if you actually think about it, imagine a game where you take 10 sections of a game and you operate them all independently. Right? So you go, I'm going to run to the end of this one and then stop, run to the end of this one, stop, run to the end of this one. They're not going to add up to the same thing as if you had actually compiled 10 years together to make up one great story, right? So what's interesting is we all sit here, and there's only a few of you that haven't lived for 10 years based upon my analysis. I'm currently checking everyone's age. You just don't know this. So if you think about this, raise your hand if you have just managed to live a 10-year period. Okay, let's try that again. Raise your hand if you have lived the last 10 years. Okay, very good. But the question is, what has stuck for you? What has stuck? 10 years just went by, and the question is, what stuck? Go back. Did you start with a clear vision of what you wanted to have happen and then spend 10 years just whacking away at that and making that your priority? And the answer that most people actually have to answer is no. 10 years just went by. Kids got older, we got older, all kinds of crazy things happened. So did you make the most of the last 10 years? I'm going to have you do some exercises about that, right? I mean, I think about things happen, right? Raise your hand if you got 10 years older. This is, again, a test. Very good. You guys are, right now, you're at 100%, okay? Because these are the things that we know are going to happen. Does everyone know exactly how old you'll be in 10 years? I do. Yeah, raise your hand. Now, why don't you? Yeah, I can tell you. You tell me how old you are now. I'll tell you exactly what you'll be in 10 years. And the question is, are we going to sit here and talk about piddly little strategies so that you have one good year? Or are we going to just leapfrog that and go right to the issue of saying, hey, listen, I'm going to be alive 10 years from now. Why not design a great plan for the next 10 years? It's the beginning. And so, when we coach people, I tell you, if we use this stage as a 10-year visual, and we start down here, and this is year number 1, and the last year is over there. Everybody with me? Right? We all have the same amount of time. There is going to be the same amount of minutes in a day, months in a year for the next 10 years. Every holiday is going to roll around just like it did every year, okay? So you're going to start out January, right? And you know what it's going to, for some of you, you know what that means? It's going to be cold. Raise your hand if it's cold where you live. And it's going to snow, and you're going to lose some days just like you do every year because of that snow. And there's going to be ice, and there's going to be this. And every February, Valentine's Day is going to roll around, and every guy in the room is awkwardly going to do some half-baked job of So every Valentine's Day, do you just kill it because you're so intentional? You're so ready that every year, or is it just going to be the same thing where Valentine's Day, oh my God, Valentine's Day, I guess I got to fly flowers. What do I do on Valentine's Day, right? So every holiday is going to roll back around, right? And the next 10 years, my wife used to take a picture when the kids would go to school, right? How many of you have kids in school? Oh yeah. And then it's like, well, someone's going to start kindergarten, first grade, second grade. Okay. And they're going to be a lot older. But all that's going to repeat over and over again. You know how many Thanksgivings you're going to have? 10. You know how many Super Bowls we're going to have? 10. This is so stinking predictable. And so again, if you're 50 or 40 or 60 or 22, whatever you are, it's been the same way over and over again. There is no excuse for not being super intentional about time. Time is actually the number one excuse used by all people about why they don't get enough done or get what they want. Time. But time is the same, right? So literally, everyone have a watch? Raise your hand if you have a watch on. I'm kind of curious. Okay, raise your hand if you only go by phone time. All right. A terrible idea, by the way. Get a watch. Because the problem with the phone is you don't just look at the time. What do you do every time you look at the phone? You look at everything else that goes with the phone. Here's the difference in 20 and 9 and 10 years before. The amount of distractions, everybody gets something to write with, right? The amount of distractions has gone sky high. And by the way, distractions cannot get deposited at the bank. So if you go to the bank and you say, listen, I'd like to get a loan. And they say, well, do you have any money? You say, well, I have a lot of distractions and a lot of excuses. Can I use those as collateral? Try it. Let me know how it goes. They're going to just laugh at you. But yet that's what we kind of think is going to happen. It doesn't work. So I was thinking this morning about this, and I want to show you something. And I didn't make a slide for it, so I'm going to draw a little picture. And I want you to figure out, we're going to start with this, because this will dictate whether or not this 2 days is going to be good for you, or it's just going to be a continuation of what your life has always been. Okay? And so basically there are two kinds of people. And what we need to do before we start is to figure out what you came in as, and if you intend to change, or you are the other type of people. So pretty simple. So when there's two choices, does everyone understand what you have to do? Pick one. There is no third. Sorry. Most dentists love a third option. Gotta keep looking for a third option. It's not that, it's not this, gotta get me a third option. We're going to talk about what that affliction is and why you might have that affliction. So, does everyone have a mind? Would you raise your hand if you came with a mind? Okay, good, you did. So, okay. And your mind went through the last 10 years with you, will go through the next 10 years with you. And if you have a family, then all of your family's minds will go through this process with you. Your team's minds will go through this process with you, blah, blah, blah. Some of you brought friends, which is super cool, right? Like, brought a bunch of people. So they're, so minds, right? My assumption is, I'm assuming that you have a certain type of mind or you wouldn't be here, but that would be giving you too much credit. So here's what we have. We have a closed mind. Okay? Everybody got it? and you sit in here, and what happens is you basically never change. This is your mind, by the way, right here. Okay? And then over here, and you notice the box has space to grow. Okay? This is an open mind. So what's really interesting, and it's so easy, I had to give a speech a couple weeks ago. We opened up a training center in the Dominican Republic, and I had to give a speech with an interpreter, which is very difficult. And I opened up with this, right? Because you realize, and so here's what we need to do. The problem is this. We're here to talk about how to have your best year ever. The closed-minded person decided that last year happened and they had no control over it, and the same is going to happen the next year no matter what they do. The closed-minded person is going to take what I say and say, well, that doesn't apply to me. My circumstances are different. The closed-minded person is going to say, I'm great with time. I don't have a time restraint. Well, at the same time, they'll walk right out and they'll repeat the excuse of that they didn't have time when we all have the same amount of time. So the question is, for you, what are you? Now, if you need to text somebody, feel free to. Text your spouse and say, hey, am I open-minded or closed? Text your children. Text your brother. Like, don't go on your stinking opinion because, of course, what does every closed-minded person think they are? Come on. Oh my gosh, see, if you could diagnose it yourself, that would be, but that's not the way it works. Every closed-minded person in here is sitting here right now going, this is a stupid exercise, why don't you just move on? I'm open-minded. No, you're not. You're a curmudgeon. You're not open-minded to anything.
You listen to Jay Geier every week on the Private Practice Playbook, but what if you could spend one full day with him live and in person? On December 5th in Atlanta, you'll have that chance at the Make 2026 Your Best Year Ever event. This is your moment to step away from the daily grind, focus on your practice instead of in it, and walk out with a clear, proven plan to make 2026 your most profitable, productive, and fulfilling year yet. You'll learn the same strategies Jay has used to help hundreds of private practices multiply growth, boost profitability, and take control of their future. Your best year doesn't just happen, it's the result of a systematic, intentional approach to running your practice. Seats always sell out, so don't wait. Call 470-410-2875 or visit www.bestyearinpractice.com/podcast right now to reserve your spot. One solid day, one proven framework, unlimited growth. That's bestyearinpractice.com/podcast. Your next step toward making 2026 your best year ever.
Listen, this is what's great about this event, right? I mean, I do a lot of events during the year. I've done this for a lot of years. And you need to understand this. This event is not about me. It's about you. So we got to talk about you. And for the morning, we're going to talk about you. All morning. We're going to, till lunch, we're talking about you. I'm going to make you do assessments on yourself. Like, use your phone. If you need to text, this is the only way I really use your phone. Text somebody, ask them this question, right? So literally everybody for fun who has a phone, text somebody. Do you think I'm more open-minded or more closed-minded? Please be really honest. And maybe ask them for a percentage. Text your spouse. Come on, why don't you want to know? What about your kids? What about your office manager? Text somebody you love and just ask them the question. And don't ask it in a way where you get the answer you want. Do you know how to do that? I just wanted to confirm I'm open-minded, right? That's not the text. If you get that, I'm going to say, let me see it, because that's not, I'll pay you to say I'm open-minded. You want to find out, because here's what I can tell you. What happens over time, over years, are there any previously closed-minded people in the room who now consider themselves much more open-minded? Raise your hand. Here's the great news. I can take a closed-minded person and kind of fix them and make them open-minded under one condition. They're open-minded to it. When they're closed-minded to it, no go. So I'm not going to put a chip in your brain. We're not going to make you drink Kool-Aid, which is like what people love to say, oh, Kool-Aid. By the way, drinking the Kool-Aid, who says that? Guess. What type of people? Of course, because that makes them feel better about themselves. When really is all it is they're closed-minded. And when you're closed-minded, here's the great thing that happens. You're not responsible for your circumstances. So every closed-minded person in the room is pretty convinced that the reason things are the way they are is it has nothing to do with them. Because they don't have any control. You want to have a really bad year? Close up your mind and just go through the motions. And what will happen is you'll wake up a year older. You will have lived all the days, all the minutes, but you will not know what it amounted to. But we got to start with which are you? So if everyone could just point to the closed-minded people, please. You guys are funny. I said you had to participate. Could we put them in the back room, please? No. I don't know if we move them up front or move them to the back. This has nothing to do with me. This is not a personal attack. I am just telling you right now, you're one or the other. Raise your hand if you've been both. I've been both. I can be both on any given day about different subjects, about different things, about whatever. But the question is, if you came here to figure out how to have your best year ever, then you got to be fully open-minded to that subject, and you can't hang on to a closed mind about the subject matter. And what we're going to do, and by the way, I will tell you, after doing this a long time, look, to give you some frame of reference, and a lot of you know this, we have a very mixed group in here. We have people that are brand new, never been to an event. We have 5X members. We have platinum members. We have long-term gold members, a mixed basket of people in this room. So when I have to make content for this event, right, what I want you to understand is this works for everybody. The content I'm going to share with you is not for one group. And none of you think, well, I'm in 5X, I don't need this. That's not true. You need it as much as everyone else does. And the first thing we've got to do is we've got to get set to an open mind. Because what I fundamentally believe is true is that, like, I believe God wants the best for you. Now, I don't know what you believe. That's up to you. Like, if you're convinced like your life is supposed to be a torture chamber, I don't know where you got that, but I believe that every single one of you has, and I think of it as God-given capabilities, and that you either choose to bring those capabilities out or not. I mean, that's what I believe about every person, even if I don't meet them. This is your first time. I believe there is no way you are using all your talents. That's it. There's no way. Because I've never ended a year and said to myself, I used all my God-given talent. Has anyone? So as we end 2019, does any one of you in here literally want to come up on stage and say, I have used every God-given talent I have and maximized them for the last 365 days? Anybody want to take that spot? That's what we have to assess this morning, because we humans, what we do realize is we come in and out of these things. So what I want you to be on, as we go through this at the table, if you find a person closing up their mind, just use that as a reminder. Hey, that's the way a closed-minded person would treat it. That's not gonna work for me. That's not gonna work in my town. So the first thing that you'll realize is you probably can't answer the question, what would have to happen next year for you to have your best year ever? Because I can tell you of years and years of doing this, I can give you your best collection year ever next year, guaranteed. But you know what that means? Doesn't mean you're going to be happy. You'll spend every blood red cent and more. Parkinson's law. Expenses rise to meet your income. So the smarty pants in the room who think that it's all just about raising the money, that's not accurate. You will spend every extra dollar you make. And you may actually end up with less. There are many, many documented cases of that. So we got to unwrap it, but it's personal. I'm not here for me. So make some notes. What are you most open-minded about? What are you most closed-minded about? So what would it take? See, none of you have the answer to that question. So it's funny, why'd you come to this event? Because all of you will reset what you want. Your business has got to over-deliver to patients. It cannot under-deliver, okay? I mean, we'll talk about that later, but you've got to understand that formula.
That was just a glimpse of what happens when you step into the room. Real breakthroughs, fresh perspective, and the kind of clarity that changes everything about how you lead and grow your practice. So if you've been thinking about coming to this event but haven't made the leap, this is your sign. Every doctor who's ever leveled up started with one decision: to get out of the office. Come experience what it feels like to create your best year ever, and hopefully we will see you in December. Thanks for listening to the Private Practice Playbook. Be sure to follow, rate, and share this episode with another growth-minded doc in your circle. New episodes drop on the second and fourth Thursday of every month, so stay tuned and make sure you're following the show to keep your mind and your practice growing.